Welcome to Mondano, formerly the new cafe at Greystone Gardens. They may have a new name and location, but Mondano offers the same great handcrafted quality menu with the same attention to detail and outstanding service. Take a culinary trip around the world with Mondano.
So today we're going to do traditional style gnocchi. Many places often boil the potatoes. I actually bake them.
Oh, okay.
I find that by baking them, you get a creamier center, it's not as soggy, and it's easy to work with when you go to cut the potato open. Now, it works better when it's nice and hot,
Right.
as fresh out of the oven as possible. This has had a little time to cool down, but that's okay. Always use a ricer, so instead of, doing like mashed potatoes for, example, run it through the ricer, get it nice and fine and mashed together. You really want to get it as fine as possible. Potato gnocchi can often be very heavy. What we're gonna do here is try and show how to avoid that and how to keep it light and fluffy, but still get that nice potato flavor.
All right.
So this is about a pound of riced potato. So we're just gonna dump that out here, and we're just gonna form a well. This is gonna catch our egg. Now, I try to keep this as simple as possible into like a 1-to-1 ratio. So if we figure this is about a pound of potatoes, then we're gonna do about a cup of flour. We're just gonna sprinkle that around and over the top. Over here, I have a little bit of white pepper and a little bit of nutmeg.
Oh, interesting.
All right, so we're just gonna take just a little sprinkle. All right, and what's nice here is that the gnocchi will have some of its own flavor. So even if you just wanted to maybe just toss in some oil and garlic or something, and instead of relying on the sauce for the
Nice.
the flavor,
Right.
it has some of its own. Now here, for a pound of potato, we'd be looking at 1 egg, but I do 1 whole egg and I add an extra yolk, and again, that helps with the fluffiness.
Right, all right.
Right, so we're gonna take that.
I think it's important to note too that here at Mondano you do make all your pasta in-house. It's all fresh pasta.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a traditional gnocchi, so it does have egg in it, but we also have vegan and gluten-free options available as well for our pasta customers. So we're just gonna do the traditional for today. Even for our cream sauce, we will also have vegan options. I'm using a dough cutter in order to mix in the egg. The reason being, you wanna touch it as little as possible. You don't want it to be packed in. You wanna keep it loose. What we're gonna do now that that's all mixed in is we're gonna kinda get everything together, and here we're gonna pack, not knead. Other doughs, like your spaghetti, your fettuccine, you want it to be dense and, folded over multiple times to make it sturdy because it's so thin.
Right.
Here, this is more of a dumpling. This is not something you want to have really packed down. So here, I'm just kind of using pressure to form it into what I call a dough baby.
Right.
I call it that because that's the way you want to handle it.
Exactly.
Like a baby.
Kid gloves.
Yep.
Yeah, you could see you're definitely not kneading it.
Right.
Just kind of forming it.
Gentle hands, yep. And so then we get into the fun part. Cut a chunk off like this, and we're gonna make like a snake.
Okay.
So just cut off an end like that.
So that's the size we're looking for.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And then
Oh,
roll it
that's
up
how
like
we
that.
get that. And all the nice sauce
right.
stays right in
so
there,
this
doesn't
is,
it?
Right. So this is a traditional gnocchi board. There's several different ways that people can make it. Some may just cut off a piece and just leave it at that.
Right.
Me, I prefer the gnocchi board because it gives those lines that help catch the sauce. Another way that some of the old Nolas would do it would take a fork and just do it like that.
There you go.
So you still get
The notch
it's kind of
for the sauce.
rounded there. But you
Right.
still have that little
Yep.
that little pocket as well.
Right.
But this is how we would typically
Of
do
course.
it.
Coming up next.
So now we're going to do a sage cream sauce.
Oh, our sauce is really creaming up there. It looks good, doesn't it?
Right. Yep. And you want it to have that time, to really get thick. So now we're going to do a sage cream sauce. So we're going to start with a little bit of butter, approximately a tablespoon or so. We're going to get that heating up. With that, I do add just a little bit of oil that helps kind of control and temper the butter so it doesn't brown too fast.
All right.
And we take a sprig of sage, and you just put the whole sprig in there. Okay, it doesn't need to be broken up or anything. No, because all you're doing is getting the flavor out of it, and then we're just going to pull it out and toss it. What you want to look for as that's going is you want to watch the leaves as they start to darken. So as that's darkening, add just a little cream here.
Okay.
And that's going to thicken up a bit. We're going to drop our gnocchi. Get those going.
Oh, our sauce is really creaming up there. It looks good, doesn't it?
Right, yep. And you want it to have that time, to really get thick. We're going to add a little bit of salt. And we're going to add a little bit more of our white pepper from before. Just a little pinch. White pepper goes a long way, so you don't want to overdo it.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and shut that off.
All right.
And we'll just discard of our sage there. Over here, our gnocchi is starting to dance. So you'll notice when the gnocchi is close to done, it'll bob to the top. So some of those are going to be ready to be pulled out, and we can just pop those right into our cream sauce. And it's such an easy dish, and it's a nice little small plate. You don't need, to have, a lot of it because it goes so far. And then the rest of those I'm going to pull out into a separate bowl here. This is just a little bit of our red sauce.
Right.
Okay. For the sage cream sauce, I'm going to use a little bit of grated Parmesan, and same for the red sauce. And then here we have ricotta salata. You might be familiar with ricotta cheese, nice and creamy.
Yeah.
Well, this is a firmer, dried ricotta. It has a little stronger, slightly saltier flavor than your regular ricotta. It makes a nice finishing touch that complements the creamy sauce. So there we have Mondano's homemade sage cream gnocchi and our homemade gnocchi with our Sunday sauce. As you can see here, we also have a homemade focaccia bread. This is also a vegan preparation for the bread, so there's no egg involved. So what I'll do is I'll let you go out in the dining room. You meet with Dominic, and he'll fill you in on the rest of Mondano's offerings.
Well, Dominic, thank you for having us here at Mondano, and now we're going to talk about this beautiful platter that you have. Tell us about it.
Well, thank you for coming, Jackie. It's my pleasure. So this is our tasting platter. This would be a half tasting. So we have the hummus, baba ganoush, which is a smoked eggplant dip. We have muhammada, which is a walnut dip. It's walnut, pomegranate molasses, red bell pepper, and then we have grape leaves. Everything here is vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free. And those are the falafel. That's the chickpeas with some spices, and it's covered with tahina sauce, which is a sesame sauce. And the olives are Lebanese green, kalamata, and oil cured. There are 3 olives. We put Aleppo pepper on the hummus and on the baba ganoush harissa, which is a mild chili citrus spice. And so we're pairing it with a cocktail that's called the French 75, and it's made with gin, fresh lemon, agave, and champagne. It's a great brunch drink, great aperitif, kind of like mimosa. So Mondano means worldly, mondial, mundane, and the name of the restaurant reflects the global cuisine. So we have maybe 9 or 10 countries that are represented with our food. Once a month we do a plant-based dinner, the last Monday of each month, and the first Sunday of each month we do a Lebanese dinner. It's a 4-course dinner for $35, and the plant-based is 5 courses for $39.
Wow. So you always have different specials going on and these special dinners.
Right.
And so if folks want to find out about that, how can they do that?
You can check us out on Facebook. The website is mondanorestaurant.com. We're located at 112 South Main Street, Old Forge, at the corner of Main and Music Roads. We also source locally as best we can from local farmers, a little bit of a farm-to-table restaurant. On every Friday we have a pianist, and we have a happy hour from 5 to 7. We have a banquet facility downstairs that can accommodate 150 guests. There's a balance between the food and the front of the house. The hospitality, the service is very important, and it's not just about the food, it's purveying a memorable experience to our guests, and when the table is a host for conversation, family, and friends.
Dominic, thank you so much for having us here at Mondano. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.